1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again. Nice. Time to land. Come on. Land right side up, please. Land right side up, please. Yes, 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 yes. All right, guys, here we go. Look at me. I am the captain now. Hopefully none of its guns are missing.
Target
nice.
Destroyed.
Get that up there. Oh. I know why. It's probably because of its health. It's destroyed. Damn it. Dude, that guy's missing shots. Dude, is this thing even like... Is it even piloting correctly? Doesn't look like it. It's doing all sorts of acrobatics that I can't do. Oh man, that's so nice. Light him up, light him up. Dude, that's a lot of freaking bullets.
Target
Nice.
destroyed.
Hopefully these guns aren't damaged. $65 or 75 meters. Alright, this one we need to take off.
Attack on shields.
Alright, I need to get some space between us first. Get some shield regen. Ooh, nice! Wow.
Target.
Interesting, interesting. It destroyed all the turrets like it did in the last Hammerhead. Until they're inoperable. Yeah, inoperable. All right, so hijacking NPC ships in Star Citizen is nothing new. It's been it's been in the game for quite some time, and right now I'm just, taking a science approach to observing and testing and doing all that stuff. This is one of the hallmarks that with Star Citizen and the open sandbox gameplay that players love to explore, including myself. I'm very curious about this subject matter, and I wanted to do more experimentation and see what we can do, right? So here's what I've learned. The first one is, obviously, NPC gunners are far from perfect. And if they were perfect, the devs would nerf, obviously. But they are far from, I would say, they are far from perfect, for one. And two, this goes into our second bullet point, is that NPC gunners will target as they are programmed. And I put in quotations here, which I partially understand. I want to know more. And they're not necessarily, when it comes to aiming, like, I can't tell them what to aim. They just go and target however they're programmed. So if I want to go after a primary target, like, say, for example, a Hammerhead, which we'll go into a little bit later, they won't necessarily focus fire on the Hammerhead. They will focus fire on other things that are around them too. Say, for example, we have 6 guns, and part of them will be targeting somewhere else, and part of them will be targeting the Hammerhead. So it's pretty interesting about the targeting dynamics of the NPCs, and that will, obviously I will gain more knowledge about that, as long as I keep experimenting with this, for one. But two, the more I know, the better I understand, the more I can somewhat control how I'm approaching ships, and getting rid of other targets before I go to the main target. Obviously, as players, we kind of do that depending on the experience and knowledge of the pilot. With me, like, if I'm going against an ERT Hammerhead these days in a Redeemer solo, I would need to either use the environment to my advantage, going around an asteroid, using that as cover when I'm in an ERT mission, especially when there's a Hammerhead involved. So I got to use all those elements, and keeping in mind the NPC gunners, and knowing the orientation of my ship, especially with an A2, which we'll detail later, right? So they're not always going to go after whoever it is I intend to go after. The third one here is that NPC gunners will sub-target turrets, as I observed on the Hammerhead. So while they are causing damage to the Hammerhead, they are sub-targeting the turrets themselves on the Hammerhead, which it actually elongates the fight. So if I want to kill the Hammerhead faster, I have to also, me as the pilot, target the Hammerhead, because if I'm letting the NPCs do all the work, it's going to take a while, because they are sub-targeting the turrets. Are they sub-targeting the turrets most of the time? I don't know yet. I have to continuously learn what's going on with that. So I don't know how they're splitting their time or their efforts with the turrets or the entire ship. All right, so my fourth one here is one disadvantage, or how you allocate your time to hijacking a ship. Once you hijack an A2, you are confining yourself to that server. This is especially true if you are solo hijacking the A2 for yourself, right? But if you are going to bring in other players as well, if you're doing this as a team, sure, you can go ahead and, server hop, but you always have to, of course, hijack another A2, get it outfitted, and so forth. I think that if a preferable setup here is to have an A2 that already has all the guns mounted, and then call out that A2 and then do the refitting of the NPC A2 in space outside of an armistice zone, and then just directly transferring all the guns from your A2 or from another player's A2, and then just copying and pasting to the NPC, the hijacked ship, right? So that would be one of the fastest ways to just move them over. Of course, if you have at least one other player with you, it will shorten the amount of time to hijack and to outfit. So that's just the nature of doing these things solo, of course. All right, now my next bullet point is equipping an A2 with ballistic gatling guns from Redeemers. It's time consuming, but it saves on costs, right? So just looking back at doing solo hijacking, when say for example, you got the A2 now, you hijacked it, now you got to go after the Redeemers. The Redeemers are obviously in ERT missions. ERT missions can take a while, especially when you're solo. It's no different when you have an A2 that you just freshly hijacked, but they have laser cannons instead. So if you want to go with lasers, great, go ahead and do them. But if you want to get that ballistic gatling gun advantage, you got to do 2 ERT missions that have Redeemers. And of course, Redeemers don't always show up in these ERT missions, right? So it's going to be time consuming, but it saves on cost. If you have somebody that's with you to take down the Redeemers even faster, or you have an A2 that's already fully kitted and you're just going to copy and paste, that saves on time and on cost indefinitely, right? So it's good. Bullet point number 7, always check gun health, because you cannot mount a gun that has 0 health from an A2, from a Redeemer. So there have been instances where I am trying to transfer over a ballistic gatling gun, and I didn't know this, right? I'm completely new to this part of the game. But if you see that the health of a component has 0 green bar, because it starts off as green, yellow, and then red or empty, you'll see that on the component. So I made the mistake. I wasn't noticing it until I tried to mount it. I'm like, why wouldn't it mount? I'm like, oh, because the health of the component is low. Okay, and my last point here is you can repair the A2 on a pad or a hanger. Of course, there are some nuances, even with our own ships where we can't repair. So you always gotta go to some other station, whether it's on a moon or on the planet or in a station. If it's not working, just go somewhere else. It applies just to our own ships as well. So yes, you can repair the A2. All right, so some 2 questions that I have for myself and for anybody who views this video is it worth the time? Well, that depends on your intent, right? In a science perspective, yes, it's worth the time if you're trying to know where the state of an NPC turret gunner is and coming up with ways to expand upon the knowledge of this area. And going into my second point, what other uses or applications using NPC ships bring value? Not just turret gunners, right? But other ships for different purposes. So those 2 are always tied together. For what purpose and application? How you're going to use it? And is it going to be worth your time? But it also comes back to point number 4. You're confined to one server only. You have to replicate the whole process. So this is a very process-driven value proposition in order for you to realize whatever value it is that you want to have when you have these NPC ships. So going back to that question, what uses or applications? Because right now I kind of daily drive. I split my time between 2 ships, a Redeemer and the C2. I'm new to the C2. I only had it for like maybe 2 months, and I like it. It turns on a dime. I can go ahead and put small ships like a Pisces, or a couple of Pisces, or of Furies or whatever else, but also land-based vehicles, right? Like I have an Ursa. I could bring an Ursa everywhere I go. Yeah, I can do that too with other ships that are smaller. But at the same time, I can have other cargo. So in the realm of just, hijacking NPC ships, the C2 doesn't have a medical bin. I can go ahead and hijack a C8R, which is the Pisces version for medical gameplay, and park that into a C2 or any of the Hercules, and have healing capabilities for tier 3 injuries, right? These are minor injuries, and if I'm depending on my loadout or how much damage I get from playing bounty hunter missions, then hey, it's I can always have a C8R in hangar and use that as a poor man's way to add modularity into a C2, where I can have onboard healing facilities through a C8R. So C8Rs, you can hijack them through VLRTs, very low risk targets, right? And yesterday I was doing this off stream, and I saw C8Rs. I was like, oh shoot, I can go ahead and hijack those, bring them into the into a C2 or any of the Hercules, or even other ships that have a large enough cargo hold and have healing facilities where I once didn't have that, right? So that was just one of those ideas that came up. The other one is it's also a form of deterrence, right? Like if you have an A2 fully kitted out, and you want to, I don't know, do looting gameplay with somebody else, or be a bodyguard or whatever else, like you want to escort other ships, and you don't have a lot of players, you can use NPC turret gunners to your advantage. I haven't tested this out yet in a PvP context, but I do intend to do that at some point. And this goes into one of the other big ideas that's obviously glaring, and that's PvP, right? Whether you're sorry to say it, a griefer, or if you're doing counter piracy operations, having an A2 with NPC turret gunners is a great advantage, right? Or even any other ship that's out there, you can use this as a form of deterrence gameplay when you are resource strapped, or you just don't have enough players to accomplish some sort of goal. Obviously, this can work very well in org versus org gameplay, right? Where you have two player organizations or more to be able to take advantage of NPC turret gunners. I will say though that NPC turret gunners, so far I haven't seen this yet, can target individual players outside the ship. It doesn't go after players when they're outside the ship. I could be wrong. I haven't tested it yet fully, but that's what I've seen so far. One other thing about NPC turret gunners is that they don't fire on turrets in a bunker context. So if you see these two gun turrets that have, I think, size 4 laser repeaters, they're not going to target them. So I've seen that before as well. So there are a myriad of use cases, but that is what I've learned so far, just in a nutshell. Okay, so let's see here. So Chip says, so one of the people in chat says, this is the content I need. I missed all these Star Citizen details over the years. Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, like this is great detail, great scientific research in a game context. So glad to give you that information. I'm just not a fan of the C2. Maybe it's just the shape that throws me off, or maybe it's just too big for me. Hey, those are all very valid points. I thought the same thing too. The reason what drove me to the C2 is ERT cargo looting missions. Once I experienced this with one of my friends that I play Star Citizen with, I'm like, I gotta get a C2. So I just cross chassis upgrade to the C2, and come to find out, like, it's fast, it's nimble. It's not a perfect tank, at least for the C2. The A2 is a perfect tank, but at least for the C2, it's a this big multitasking ship. So do I regret CCU upgrade to it? No. But I used to be just like you, and they say, I'm like, I don't see a use for the C2. Now I see it, right? Yeah. All right, Canarian ask, what if you would tag the target with 1, 2, or 3? Oh, that's so true. Yes, yeah. Would that affect AI gunners to focus more on one target? I have not tried this yet. I've done this with other players, but I haven't done this yet with AI turret gunners. So yes, that's something I do want to try out. Yeah. And then also since the AI have unlimited ammo, should you always go ballistic weapon meta as far as it relates to AI turret gunners? Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, AI turret gunners have unlimited ammo. This is unfair advantage, I think, if when abused. I think if the scale of AI turret gunners goes out of control, like this AI turret gunners becomes the meta again, then I can foresee that the devs are like, nope, not so fast. We're gonna cap the ammo just like anything else once it becomes player controlled, at least at the ship level. So yes, yeah, it's advantageous. I think you bring up a good point, Canarian. It is advantageous in this context. Now, do I have hardcore numbers on this? No, I don't. I would need to find out how I would capture those metrics, because some of it is going to be, how can I say this? We're doing the best metrics capturing for the tools that we have, both visually and maybe if we create certain conditions to make the test repeatable and as scientific as possible, then yes, we can, maybe time to kill. Maybe that's what it's going to be as well. Yeah, quick to the science mobile. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's what I think too. So yeah, I will be combining this output of your comments, and I will incorporate that into the next session of doing the science. So yeah, that's the video that I got so far. I have so much video recordings. It's taking me time to cut up the footage and determine what it is I'm going to select, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to use the Hammerhead because it's a big target, it's got lots of guns, it's the A2 is like the mid-range ship, mid-range gunship, because the Hammerhead is the top of the line gunship, of course, when it's fully piloted with skilled turret gunners. I would say like there's like the Freelancer Max, which is a gunship. Then there's the Redeemer, which is one of my favorite gunships. That's where I've made the majority of I've done the majority of grinding to an ERT. And then obviously there's the A2, and then there's the Hammerhead as the top of the line. I forgot if there's any other gunships, but yeah, I think that the A2 turret gunners they're awesome. Not perfect, but good enough. Just hearing the sounds of the Gatling guns, and especially when the lands hit the majority of the time, that is just a good feeling. Obviously, players are going to do much better, right? Humans are going to do much better at this time of or at this context of AI, right? Like in game, obviously. But yeah, if you made it to this portion of the video, thanks for sticking by. And if you like the video, hit a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.